Hi, it's Renee Jayne here, and I want to welcome you. In this video, we are talking about emotional eating. If you might feel you have food issues or obsessive issues with food or any kind of food addiction problems going on. And I want to remind you, if you haven't seen it already, below this video there are some links to some other videos, and so you can find some more value by watching all of them. And also, I really find that community helps so much around this topic and many others in our healing. As a holistic nutrition practitioner, we can't do this alone. That is what I have learned anyway, and I know that we need community to help us. So leave a comment, because that can be a really important way for us to connect and for you to connect with others. So diving into this topic, a quick recap on some of the other videos I've shared around this. We've talked about first the realization that we may have food issues, right? That this feeling of being out of control or having obsessive thoughts around food has been probably happening for most of our life, and it's progressively getting worse and worse and worse if we haven't done anything about what the root cause is. And I talked about the root cause really being this underlying pain, shame, or fear, or a combination of all that we haven't dealt with. And that what happens is, if we keep kind of stuffing down these painful feelings and these emotions, and maybe even trauma, stuffing it down with food or just ignoring it or pretending it doesn't exist, that this actually manifests in the body as illness or as disease. We also talked about one of the ways that we notice some of these behaviors showing up is through telling white lies or creating this kind of separate self, secretive self around food by not fully expressing or sharing how much we're eating or what we're consuming, especially with the people we love, and also owning up to ourselves. And so today in this video, I want to get to the struggle, okay? Because the struggle is real. And I think it's also important to address, as I share this topic, that this isn't just about junk food. We may have some of these struggling feelings or obsessive thoughts about trying to eat perfect or really healthy all the time. When I was in nutrition school, let me back up. I'll say this, prior to going to nutrition school, I had many years of struggling with food and noticing my propensity to overeat and binge on certain kinds of foods. And nutrition school is a huge catalyst for me. And it really helped me shift how I was eating. It helped me physically so much about the pain that I was in my body. I had migraines I was dealing with, so there's so many things that eating healthy helped, and I'm so grateful for that. But one thing that I did notice is that some of the underlying issues around how my relationship with food didn't go away until I did the emotional work. And I gotta be honest with you, like, when I think about it, sometimes I think, gosh, if I name like this video, like the top 10 weight loss secrets or the top 5 superfoods, like those things are kind of exciting magic pills, right, so to speak, that we want to hang on to because they're quick and easy and fast. And people don't want to talk about the emotional stuff. It's like, oh man, don't have time for that right now. The physical piece of our body, the nutrition, the connection with our food is so important. It's so important. And there's a lot of tools that I help my clients with to gain that relationship to food, to be more mindful, to appreciate food. There's so many pieces there. And obviously to allow food to heal thyself. But it only can go so far until we then need to start to look around the corner at some of the things that we've been suppressing with some of our behaviors. Now, anyone who knew me in my younger years as a child, in my family or immediate family, even maybe some friends, they would tell you that I really loved Oreo cookies and sweets. And so In fact, I was known in the family of having a sweet tooth and the girl who always ate all the icing off the cake and not the cake and all that stuff. So there was an identity that I had around me being someone who really likes sweets. And so Oreo cookies were my favorite, and I used to eat them here or there. But as I got older and I was in my late teens into my early 20s, I started to notice how I was eating the Oreo cookies and other things, but I'm just going to use these for our example, differently. So it was more about me recognizing my thoughts around it. So I'd be at the store, pass the Oreo cookies, I'd be really going back and forth. Do I get these? Do I not get them? Do I get them? It was a big thing, and it was so much of my attention, so much of my energy was focused on whether or not to get these things. So it was consuming. In this case, I got the Oreo cookies. You know, I bring them home. There's a part of me that wants to get one out of the package the moment I'm in the car. There's times I have done that, by the way, that I would get the food and like immediately get one out before I even like started the car. And so again, consuming me. It was almost like these cookies had power over me. Now I am using an example that happens to be sugar, and I'm gonna be honest, I feel like Oreo cookies are like drugs. So the way that the sugar is addictive, it's comparable to a drug. But I want to be clear that this could be anything. It could be chips. It could be, you know, ice cream. It doesn't have to be sugar, but just to be clear, that could be anything. Back to the point of feeling not only consumed, but it was like the cookies had power over me. When I got them home and I was aware where they were in the pantry, I would think about them a lot. So every time I walked by, I would think, should I have one? Shouldn't I have one? And progressively it got worse to the point where if I knew that they were in the house, I would want to just eat them all the time. And I would keep eating them and eating them and eating them. One time I ate the entire bag of Oreo cookies. I said one time. There's probably more times, but in this instance that I'm remembering, I ate the entire bag of Oreo cookies. And part of that process of eating those was a euphoria, right? But there was another part of it where I felt like if I had them in the house, I was going to eat them. And the only solution I could come up with at the time was to just eat them all, so then I wouldn't have to deal with this energy, this control, this constantly thinking about the Oreo cookies. What I'm describing to you right now and sharing my story in the process is a form of a obsessive, food addictive kind of relationship. At one point, and this was another time, I had the Oreo cookies in the house. I was eating them, but I had started to recognize that I was going to do the same pattern again, that I was going to probably eat the entire bag in order to get them out of the house. So I decided to throw them away and put them in the garbage. And I was really feeling pretty brave and good about myself for that. Until later that afternoon, because I was, again, still controlled, still thinking about these cookies, I knew they were in the garbage. I went in the garbage and I took some cookies out of the container while they were in the garbage can. And I share that with you. I know that's disgusting and it's gross, but to illustrate the depth of the control and the out of control I was feeling in relationship to this food. What I eventually did is I took nail polish remover and I poured it on the Oreo cookies because I knew I wouldn't eat them if they had nail polish remover on them. Now, the underlying pain is the most important part of this story. There's a quote that said, "Not why the addiction, but why the pain." Why are we in so much pain that we feel like we need to numb it away? Why are we in so much pain that we feel so out of control that we need to act out in this kind of separate, secretive self. And so what I had realized that I had done, which I know this may seem odd for some of you, but it's almost like I made the food, in this case Oreo cookies, a god. And I know that might trigger some people. A higher power, we may call it a savior, or it's almost like I put him on a pedestal because everything was revolving around those cookies. Everything. The actions I was taking throughout the course of the day. And for some of the people who, if you're listening to this, it may not be Oreo cookies. For you, it might be working out. Maybe it's an obsession with working out, whereas every part of your day you think about it, how can I get this in? And for some of us, it might be around healthy foods. For some of us, it might be around diet soda or regular soda, or, there's so many different examples. So what I want to help you get to today as an action step for this one is to start to see that our mind is addicted to thought. I believe it's the biggest addiction of humanity, is the addiction to our thoughts and our mind. And, whether we're worrying, whether we're thinking, whether it's anxiety, guilt, we got to get to the pain. And so what I want to do is I want to help you to start to see what are the things that trigger your pain. A trigger is defined as anything that might happen throughout your day that starts to send you into this tailspin, right? It could be a song that you heard that brought up old memories, and it might even be deeply unconscious and you don't even realize that happened. Try to think of the ones that are coming up for you. Maybe it's an argument with someone that you love. Maybe it is a trigger. Could also be a time of day. So I eat late at night. I don't, but this might be a thing for you, right? Or I wake up in the middle of the night, or if I watch too much television and I sit on the couch for too long, I tend to snack a lot, right? Like, these are certain things that people may list as their triggers. And I want to recommend that you take an action today to begin to list out what some of those triggers are for you. This is about awareness. This isn't about shaming. We all have an Oreo cookie story. This isn't about comparing your story to my story. This is about bringing a big, huge light and shining it on some of the darker aspects of our relationship to food, and looking at how we can heal that relationship, where food isn't this overpowering, higher power thing that becomes so large that it changes how we show up in our life. It makes life become unmanageable. It impacts how we're doing physically and emotionally and mentally. It impacts our relationships. It impacts our career. So again, if you have any need for more support, go to reneejayne.com, click on the button that says My Nutrition 360. I offer a group program that has a structure and a plan where we literally go through your nutrition and somewhat personalized for you. Like, I'll look at blood work if needed, and we'll do the physical piece, and then we'll do the emotional and the mental and the spiritual piece, and we'll put it together in this holistic way to get you to the root of very important healing work. And we'll do it in a way where there's community and this accountability factor that can be really beautiful. If that's not for you, that's okay. But get the help somewhere if you are resonating with this, because we can't do this alone. I used to think we could do it alone, but I know we can't. And I want to share that with you today. We can't do this alone. Also, there's other videos I've made on this. So if you resonated with this and you want more information, click below so you can check out the other videos. And as always, leave a comment. If you like this video, press the like button. And I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to be in conversation below. I'll talk to you soon.